Well, hello. Today I'd like to do something a little bit different. Uh, we all have those pens that we have sold or given away or have otherwise departed from our lives. These are those pens that are not in use. So early on in my pen collecting days, one of the brand names I was hearing a lot about was Twisby. Twisby was friendly to people who wanted to tinker with their pens. I mean, they included a little wrench in the box with the pen so you could take it apart. The pens were definitely designed to be taken apart, and they were cool. You know, they came in like almost Apple-like packaging. So I bought myself a Twisby 540 in blue. And I was reading all kinds of stuff about cracking and cracking and cracking. Nope, mine's not cracking. I'm just doing Jim Dandy. And I was pretty happy with the pen. I liked it as an extra fine. I'd filled it with Bay State Blue. And had a good time with that. And then it cracked. And but I heard that, they're pretty awesome. You know, you just write to them, tell them what happened, they'll send you a new pen. So I wrote to Twisby, told them the situation, sent along a picture of the crack in the pen, and next thing you know, they sent me a new pen. New Twisby 540. Well, the part that had cracked, because it was the cap in that case that had cracked. So I had a new blue cap. So I was happy, again. And then the barrel cracked. And I'd like, shoot! And I wrote to them and said, here's the situation and all that. And they said, we no longer have the blue barrels. And at that point, I just said, screw it! Fast forward a little bit. One of my viewers sent me a Twisby 540 in blue, saying, I heard all about your story about cracking. Here's one that never cracked. Guess what it did? It cracked. So, I have written off the Twisby 540, and so has Twisby. Twisby no longer makes the model. They learned from that experience. They use a different type of plastic. And although I'll occasionally hear questions about cracking with Twisbys, it's really hasn't been an issue. But yeah, in the early days of Twisby, cracking was a problem with Twisby. Something about the plastic of the manufacturer, I'm not sure why. But yeah, I experienced it firsthand. So I liked how it wrote. That pen actually wrote really nicely. Very firm steel nib and all that. It was an extra fine, but it was perfect delivery mechanism for Bay State Blue. An ink that I no longer own, but it was a perfect mechanism for that. And it looked good, it felt good in the hand, and like I said, I appreciated that you could take it apart. Not that I take my pens apart that often, but hey, they gave you that option. Try doing that to your Aurora 88 or your Omaso Jiva or something. Oh boy. So, yeah, I really appreciate that. Nothing against Twisby. In fact, you're going to hear a lot of Twisbys tonight because I am sympathetic to the brand. I love my Twisby Draco. But yeah, I'm not a fan of the Twisby 540. So, that was a disaster. So, the success for the... gosh darn it. Words are hard. The successor to the Twisby 540 was the Twisby 580. Now, I liked the Twisby 580. One of the cool things about it is it actually had a specialized inkwell that went with it. That you'd unscrew the nib, you'd screw the pen into the specialized inkwell, and you could fill it. And so that was different and unique. I still have the inkwell. Now, the Twisby 580, and I'm going to talk about two, because I had a Twisby 580 aluminum and a Twisby 580 plastic. The Twisby 580 that was aluminum, both were broad nibs, was a wonderful writer. I loved how it wrote. I liked the looks. I thought that orange color was just sharp. A wet writer, felt good in the hand, looked good, very classy. The Twisby 580 regular... not so much. The nib was kind of on the dry side, a little disappointing. It felt about the same in the hand, because it's the same pen, it just has plastic section instead of a metal section. So I gave away the TWSBI 580, the plastic one, as a gift to a then new YouTuber. I haven't heard much from him lately, so Larry Baronez. It was early on when he was first starting to do pen reviews, so I sent him a TWSBI 580 to encourage him. And, I mean, not that it was an amazing pen, it wasn't a bad pen. It just wasn't for me, it was too dry. And that's kind of a common theme with TWSBIs, by the way, except for the TWSBI Draco. Like the TWSBI Draco a lot. And I will say that the TWSBI 580 got everything right that the TWSBI 540 got wrong, especially the cracking. My aluminum one I kept for a few years longer. I ended up selling to another YouTuber. Since it's a sales relationship, I'm not going to mention who it was, but I sold it to her. I apparently screwed up in my selling it to her because she wasn't real thrilled about that. I screwed up, what was it, the nib or something? Anyway, she said she was able to fix it, but I was just like, oh, God, I did that. But beautiful pen and nice writer. I just wasn't inking it up, was the only reason I sold it to her. Plus, she expressed an interest in it. And I had an interest in downsizing my pens, and here's a pen I never use. I still have pens like that, so let me know. But anyway, so I'm glad it went to a new home. And I'm happy to say that my story with the 580 isn't so much the cracking and the defectiveness as just not the pen for me. And since we're on a TWSBI kick, let's hit one more TWSBI before I switch to a different brand. So, early on in my career, I looked at the Pilot Custom 823 and just thought, yeah, I'm never going to spend that much on a pen. So I found a much lower cost TWSBI VAC 700. Now, as I understand it, they have a newer version of their VAC models, so I can't comment too intelligently about that one. So this is the original VAC 700. So it was a vacuum filler, only it was within on the outer limits of what I was willing to pay for a pen at the time. And it was a great vac filler. The vacuum filling mechanism worked wonderfully. The pen looked good. It also came with a special inkwell, but it not quite the same as the one that came with the TWSBI 580 because it is really just a special inkwell. But you could put the pen in it, turn it upside down, and get a full fill with it. So that was cool. Kind of like a Visconti ink, traveling ink pot. But anyway, it was when I started writing with it that I realized, ugh. It was, had the same problems as that plastic 580. It was sluggish, shall we say, dragged across the paper, didn't enjoy the feeling, and there was a really sharp step down from the barrel down to the section where you gripped it, and it was just like that perfect spot to be in my way. So, that's another pen. What did I do with that pen? I want to say I traded that one away. I think it was in a group that I traded. Didn't have the cracking with it, didn't have the other issues, but that nib and that sharp step down, I just did not care for them. And by that point, I had actually bought a Pilot Custom 823, so I don't know which vac filler am I going to use. The one that I like writing with, that I spend a lot of money on, or the other one. So the other one lost out, and it languished for a while until I finally, like I said, I think it was involved in a trade, if I remember right. And, that's the thing with a lot of these pens that are going to be in these videos. It's not that they're bad pens. It's just that I like other pens better. And, so I just found that these are pens that sit in my drawer and never get inked up. I've been recently going through my collection. If you're contemporary with pens in use, about the time I'm filming this, which isn't necessarily the time I release it. So I'm filming this on, what is today? January 29th, 2024, just for reference. So whenever I release this, who knows, but at this time I am evaluating, like there's going to be a Sailor Realo in my pens in use this week because I'm just trying to decide, is this a pen I'm going to keep or am I going to get rid of it? So I thought I'm going to ink it up, decide for sure. If I decide it's one I want to get rid of, it's going into its original box because I still have it. And I'm going to work on either selling it or trading it. Okay. So I've mentioned 3, and I looked, the last time I did one of these, I described 4 pens, and I had several options. I was not going to go all Twisby tonight, but I ended up doing that. So I'm just looking to double check which one I want to do here. Because did I pick it beforehand? Oh, hell no. By the way, that Twisby 580, the aluminum one, was a Survivor pen. I actually kept it long enough that I did a revisit to it. So some of the footage is from the revisit, some is from the original video. But my last pen I want to talk about, because let's step out of the Twisby world. Since I mentioned Pilot and trading, I used to own a Pilot Custom. Yeah, I think it's just Pilot Custom 74. Beautiful kind of lavender finish, very attractive, wonderful nib. I absolutely adored that broad nib in that pen. Kind of around the same time, I bought myself a Pilot Custom Heritage 92, which is a piston filler, and funny enough, uses the same nib. But you couldn't get a broad nib in that Pilot Custom 92. But every time you see that Pilot Custom 92, you see a broad nib in it. Why? Because I realized which pen I liked better, which one I used more often, the 92. So I just thought to myself, let's get the nib I like into the pen I like, which I did. And then here I have this Pilot Custom 74 that, other than it was an attractive color of lavender, really didn't excite me that much. And I thought, we're going to sell this one. I never did sell it. I ended up trading it. I got some... it was a wonderful trade. I mean, I traded like 7 pens, and he traded like 6 pens to me, because I threw in... I don't remember which pen, but I threw one extra in just for fun. So what's wrong with the 74? Absolutely nothing. I like the 92 better. I think the 92 looks better. I like the piston on the 92. I have no problem with using a converter. I think a converter is kind of silly in a demonstrator, but that's me. It's a personal preference. I just liked the 92 better, and I haven't missed the 74 at all. It's attractive. Pilot still sells them. The best part of it is still with me because I have that broad nib, and it got to keep the fine nib. And yeah, so I think it was a win for me. But yeah, again, it just sat being unused, and especially after I swapped nibs, I just would never use it. So those are 4 pens. I'm just looking at my list here. I downloaded several that I thought of off the top of my head. A lot of them happen to be Twisbys, but I found another. I found another one, an Edison. I used to own 2 Edison pens. I don't own any anymore. So yeah, I'm going to start collecting these videos as I think of these pens that I've given away or sold or whatever, to do another one of these pens not in use. A lot of them just show up because I realize, went a whole year, never used it. Some of them don't get used, but I'll keep them because of their historical value or their appearance or whatever. I have a couple very expensive ones that I just don't use. I have several Platinum 3776s that I don't use, that I'm looking at passing on. 2 Sailors I'm looking at passing on. I just, I'm at that point that I want pens that I love and use, and if I'm not loving them or using them, what's the point in keeping them? So, yeah, there we end up with some pens not in use. Because often if a pen doesn't make it into a video, it's because it's such crap that I just can't even be bothered. And I always want to give the company the benefit of the doubt because maybe I just got a lemon. So you never see those. But there are a lot that are good, perfectly good pens that just fail to excite me. I still have them in my possession, but plan to get rid of them. I have some Birmingham pens that I'd like to get rid of. Perfectly good pens just don't excite me. I have a Birmingham pen I'm planning to keep also, but anyway, if that's all as clear as mud. I want to thank you for watching, and if videos like this interest you, I would invite you to subscribe. So I'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.